and you actually fought against Chinese equipment with people who can handle this Chinese equipment better than the Chinese.
Yeah.
This is something which we should not let go. The Chinese don't know how to handle all this. I mean, in fighting. I've always maintained between the Pakistani and the Chinese, I'd prefer to fight the Chinese than the Pakistani. Because the Pakistani is good at fighting.
大家好，我是老吴。刚才给大家看的片段中，说话的这位是印度前陆军炮兵司令，现在还是印度理工学院航天系的教授。我们知道印度每天都在赢，这期节目就给大家分享几个非常好玩的视频片段。不过在这之前，先给大家看两条最新的新闻报道。第一条新闻是中国新华社、环球时报还有土耳其 TRT World 的 X 社交媒体账号在印度被屏蔽了。在这之前，印度使馆还发过声明，否认他们有战机被击落，并且警告环球时报，在发布虚假信息之前，应该先核查一下事实。第二条新闻就更有意思，印度官方一直否认巴基斯坦打中了他们的 S-400防空系统，但最近有印度地方媒体报道说，一名来自比哈尔西万地区的印度士兵在巴基斯坦的袭击中丧生了。重点是这名士兵生前正是 S-400系统的操作员，报道还配了他近期的结婚照片和军装照片。好，看完这两条新闻，我们先来看一个视频片段。视频中的这位是印度的一位大使，同时还是几个非洲国家的特别顾问。他说，有120个发展中国家组成的全球南方，现在都把印度当作他们的领导者，而这次印巴冲突的结果只会让大家更加佩服印度，把印度当成榜样。来一起看看原视频，感受一下这份自信。
My name is Deepak Vora. I'm an ambassador of India and special advisor in 3 African countries as well as in Kargil and Leh. Today we're talking about this concept of the Global South. The Global South consists of 120 countries, all of which are developing nations, and all of which, and I say this with great pleasure and determination and with a sense of verification, that all of them consider India as their leader. There's something about leadership. Leadership cannot be imposed. It has to be accepted. They accept India as their leader. We have a voice of the Global South. We have virtual meetings every year hosted by the Indian Prime Minister. All of them participate and all of them say that they look to India to provide leadership in these uncertain times. Now, the Russia-Ukraine conflict did create challenges for the Global South in terms of food, fuel, fertilizer. Inflation was rampant. But what is now happening between India and Pakistan, there will be no direct impact on the nations of the Global South, except they understand even more that if they want a role model, that has to be India. Many of these countries, particularly in Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, are impacted by terrorism, particularly Islamic terrorism. And of course, we all know that any terrorist anywhere has some connection with Pakistan. So they'll be very pleased if the global terrorism movement, I call it Terrorism Incorporated, can be weakened as a result of what we have done in Pakistan. My feeling is that they will celebrate the leadership that India has taken in dismantling the international terror network. All I want to say to the Global South, many of them used to say that, look, we look to Europe, we look to the United States, and I would always quote to their leaders. Remember, I'm special advisor in 3 countries. I would quote to them a very popular Bollywood film song in Hindi, and I'll say to you, I would tell their leaders, the ministers and others, look, kahan dekh rahe ho aap? Tera dhyan kidhar hai? Tera hero idhar hai. Look at India. Look at what we've done. We've not caused you any distress. We have limited our action to the hub, the terror central, a country that used to be known as Pakistan. I don't know what it's called now. We haven't hurt you in any way. But when it comes to terror that is hurting most of you, India is right there leading from the front. So, my dear colleagues from the Global South, India is here, and now indecisive India has become Bharat Bahadur. May I conclude with something which I always enjoy saying? I'm not Indian because I live in India. I'm Indian because India lives in me. Thank you very much.
接下来再给大家看看印度甲亢哥的2个视频片段。 甲亢哥这次的观点是，印度已经是名副其实的超级大国了，只不过以前总是表现得像个老好人，太低调。但是通过这次印巴冲突，全世界都会对印度刮目相看，重新认识印度的强大。
What a week it has been. We remember, let's put together the events over the last week, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly a week to the day tonight is the 13th of May 2025. And the growing realization that India has become a military superpower. The fact that we've hit Pakistan so hard, and we've hit them with thinking and without the slightest bit of leeway. Ladies and gentlemen, the country is as powerful as its military strength. The economy matters something, but there are countries which punch way above their weight in terms of global power index. Countries like Turkey, countries like Russia, smaller economies, but big powers by virtue of their ability to project power. Now, I began a podcast I did earlier today by saying that while the Gandhian approach is all right for certain things, it's not all right when it comes to assessing, evaluating our military strength. Ladies and gentlemen, I think what we have now is a militaristic mindset in the nation after the way we've hit Pakistan. We're the only country in the world which has hit a nuclear power 11 times, 11 different air bases, and finished them off and destroyed 25% of the air force in one strike. And the fact is, had the Pakistanis not gone crying uncle to the Americans, we would have continued to hit them harder and deeper. That is the reality. Ladies and gentlemen, my hashtag tonight says it all. India military superpower. And since we have the ability and the political leadership right now to project that power, let that new story begin. Let's start with a clip, ladies and gentlemen, of the Prime Minister's visit to the Adampur Air Base. And those chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. When the Prime Minister says today at the Adampur Air Base, where he goes to meet the soldiers, we are eternally grateful to our armed forces for everything that they have done for our nation. We're also grateful for this kind of political leadership that gives a free hand to our military. Madhav Nalapad, let me put it to you like this. The world's most populous nation, with among the top 3 militaries, but which has not flexed its muscle. It has a cold start doctrine, but it has not flexed its muscle. We've been the nice guys of the world. We're not seen to be an aggressive country. But this time, Madhav, something, especially the incredible directional leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said this is not an age of war. But what Modi has shown is that India, if it is troubled, will hit back 100 times as hard. Therefore, there is this new strategic red line has never been crossed, Madhav. We've drawn this red line. It's not only terror, it's not only terrorism, it is the ability to hit back. If the world was impressed when the Americans sent their Apaches to kill Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, that is 1% of what we've done. We have in 23 minutes using scalp missiles, hammer bombs, Rafale jets, demonstrated a huge military superiority. Now, question is, obviously this makes the world look at us differently. The usual, the woke newspapers around the world have started, India is very aggressive, India has become much more dangerous than Israel, we've got to calm down India. This kind of conversations are beginning. Why? How do we deal with the way the world is going to look at us differently right now?
最后一个视频片段来自甲亢姐，他说，尽管印度在这次冲突中取得了决定性的胜利，但是全球媒体的报道却充满了偏见，没有客观反映印度的辉煌战果。他还特别分析了造成这种偏见的几个原因，我们来看看他是怎么说的。
Pakistani air defenses are smoldering, their runways are cratered, and their army chief was holed up in a bunker apparently. But if you look at global media coverage, the picture is very different. They make it seem like it's advantage Pakistan. We'll first look at some examples, and after that, we'll try to see why this is happening. First is Al Jazeera. Their article says India tried to project strength but ended up showing weakness. Just a reminder, Al Jazeera is owned by Qatar, a regime that is propped up by the US military. Take that out and they probably won't survive 2 weeks. This is also the same Al Jazeera that claimed that Pakistan had captured an Indian pilot. Later, the Pak military fact-checked them. Frankly, I don't know what's more humiliating, having to bribe the US president with a plane or being fact-checked by Pakistan. Here's another article. This one is from Bloomberg. It says Chinese weapons gained credibility after this conflict. Next, we have an article in the Financial Review. It says China's military is the big winner of this conflict. Another report in Japan's Nikkei. It talks about Chinese-made jets bringing down Indian fighters. Next, look at France's Le Monde. It says this conflict exposed the weakness of India's Air Force. And finally, CNN, they claim that there are no winners in this conflict, neither India nor Pakistan. Now, what explains this global narrative? What explains this perception that Pakistan had the edge? We can think of 4 reasons. Number 1, the information overload from Pakistan. Their military claims 120 jets were part of the dogfight, that dozens of Indian soldiers were killed. It's all unproven, of course, but it sounds too significant to ignore. So most foreign media houses began buying it. They wanted to give their audience something explosive. India, on the other hand, was restrained. Our in-depth briefings began after the pause in fighting. By then, most media houses had moved on. Reason number 2, the intrigue around Chinese weapons. This is the first time we saw them in active combat. Whether it's Chinese jets or Chinese missiles or Chinese air defenses, many experts have questioned the efficiency of these weapons. So naturally, there was added interest. On India's side, that wasn't the case. Our Rafale jets have already seen combat in Afghanistan, Libya and Mali. The MiGs have a long combat history, so do the Barak missiles and the S-400. The intrigue was only for Indian-made weapons like the BrahMos and the Akash. And here in India, there's a lot of coverage about them, but outside, not so much. Either way, the bigger point is this. Western journalists did not care about the rising tensions. They wanted to see how Chinese weapons fared. And Pakistan indulged them. Reason number 3. The Western media moved on quite fast. They eagerly watched the first night of the operation. After that, they shifted to other things, like a new pope being elected, or Trump going to West Asia, or Trump demanding a ceasefire in Ukraine, Putin offering talks to Zelensky. You'll find that a lot of these articles are from the initial period, from May 7th and May 8th. India's strikes on Pakistani military bases came after that. And finally, reason number 4, a possible effort to push American weaponry. Just think about it. All these articles were based on US government sources. They would love to discredit India's Russian weapons, perhaps even the French Rafales. It's an easy way to nudge India towards America's 5th generation F-35s. We may not know the exact reason, but one thing is quite clear. The foreign media has shown a distinct bias. They have blindly accepted Pakistan's version of events. No follow-ups, no investigations, no groundwork. India, on the other hand, has displayed solid evidence, yet they refuse to carry those stories. The fact is, India won this military exchange decisively. Pakistan knew that we would strike their terror camps and bases. Their jets and defenses were probably on alert, yet we struck them at will. If this isn't victory, I don't know what is.
好，今天的印度精彩片段就分享到这里。不知道你们看完这些视频是什么感觉？反正对我来说，看印度的一些新闻和评论节目，真的比很多脱口秀还好笑。也希望你们看了能笑一笑，放松一下。好，今天的节目就到这里，咱们下期见。